At this place in history, we're at Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller National Historical Park in Woodstock with Steve Perkins, the Executive Director of the Vermont Historical Society. Steve, what brings us here this week?
So Mike, we're at a really beautiful and interesting place that gets into the history of conservation and land management, farming and all sorts of stuff, and really a gift to the nation.
George Perkins Marsh was born here in Woodstock in 1801, and he's really considered one of America's first environmentalists. He writes his book, Man and Nature, in 1864, and this is one of the first books that talks about man's impact on the environment.
He grew up on this property, did he not?
He did. He grew up here as a boy. He loved to read. He loved to go outside and explore, and that sort of inspired his love of nature with his father.
What was his career? So, I mean, naturalist wasn't necessarily a career at the time.
Yeah, so he goes to school, he studies at Dartmouth, and then he tries a couple of different business endeavors. He tries to be a sheep farmer, he tries to be a mill owner, he actually tries to be a lawyer in Burlington for a little bit, and he's very unsuccessful in all of this, but he does know he wants to travel. So he uses his academic mind and to become a diplomat, and then he'll actually leave the country and he'll be ambassador in the Ottoman Empire as well as in the Kingdom of Italy.
He was instrumental in connecting the sculptor Larkin Mead while he was in Italy with the Vermont legislature to carve a statue for the top of the State House.
He was one of the founding members of the Smithsonian, so with a lot of the pieces that he brings back from his travels overseas, that'll eventually end up in the Smithsonian.
We all think of Vermont as this very pristine space, but it was in the midst of the sheep craze, and Vermont was mostly denuded, no trees, so he was seeing this. And how do you find that sort of imagery in his writing?
Yeah, so he talks about in Man and Nature that if we cut down all of the trees on our beautiful Green Mountain state, sure, we don't have lumber for our industry, but we have bigger problems. There's nothing holding the soil in place. We have erosion, slides into the river, and it's more than just the fish that will be affected. So this idea of nature's interconnectedness comes into play.
And that entire idea was such a new concept at the time for so many people. I'd be curious to know what kinds of general receptions his ideas in this vein kind of had during his lifetime.
Absolutely. So Man and Nature was written in 1864. It's actually never gone out of print, and it gets read by some pretty famous conservationists, if you're familiar. John Muir reads Man and Nature and is inspired by it. Gifford Pinchot, one of the first chiefs of the U.S. Forest Service, reads Man and Nature as well. So it gets pretty good critical reception, you might say.
So how can people learn more about George Perkins Marsh and the location where we are now?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have wonderful tours that help explain the legacy of Marsh here at Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller, named after him, of course. And then we explore the house that he grew up in, the landscape as well. They can go into our website, learn about him that way. There's a lot of options.
The boyhood home of one of America's first conservationists at this place in history.